Hi, good morning. My name is Annalise Eicher. I'm the Executive Director of One Wisconsin Now. And this morning we are here to talk about the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. It has been widely reported that State Supreme Court candidate Brian Hagedorn maintained a blog in which he commented on specific cases, decisions, and laws, in addition to sharing some extreme personal viewpoints, which you can see here and are probably familiar with. When asked about these views, he refused to back down. He asked us to trust him, however, and trust him that he would set these views aside if elected to the state Supreme Court. Unfortunately, he has acted on and continues to act on these viewpoints. And our research director, Joanna Byland-Doolin, is going to walk you through some of the new research that we have found on Supreme Court candidate Brian Hagedorn.
Thanks, Annalise. So, as Annalise said, Brian Hagedorn has told Wisconsin to trust him, that he will not act upon his very strongly held views, very extreme views that are not with the mainstream of Wisconsin. However, we have discovered that in 2016, after Brian Hagedorn was appointed to the Court of Appeals by Scott Walker, he and his family helped found a private school which actively discriminates against gay and transgender people. Both he and his wife are described as founders in articles cited by the school. They both serve on the board of directors of the school, which is the Augustine Academy in Waukesha County. And his wife is the registered agent of the school. The school code of conduct, a formal school policy, specifies that if people are gay, if teachers are gay, they will be dismissed. If students are gay, they will be disciplined and possibly expelled. And the same goes if a parent is discovered to be gay, transgender, violate their formal code of personal conduct. When asked after all of his blog writings were discovered, if he still holds these views, Brian Hagedorn certainly did not say he doesn't. He stood by those extreme viewpoints and just asserted that Wisconsinites could trust him, that he would set those strongly held viewpoints aside when he is a judge. But this is action he's taking on those strongly held viewpoints while he's a judge. It is disqualifying. It shows Wisconsinites that they cannot trust what he's saying, and really calls into question all of his assertions that people would be able to be treated fairly under the law. A foundation of our judicial system is that people will be treated equally under the law. But with viewpoints such as these, and more problematically, actions upon those viewpoints while he is a judge, while he is campaigning to be a state Supreme Court justice, it is simply disqualifying. He has a long history already on these issues, which I'll turn over to Megan McDonald to talk a little bit more about as well.
Thank you. My name is Megan McDonald. I'm the Executive Director of FAIR Wisconsin, our statewide LGBTQ civil rights, education, and advocacy organization. A core component of our work to advance civil rights is to educate the public and decision makers about the critical legal issues that are decided in the courts. FAIR Wisconsin joins the voices of concern today about the record of Judge Hagedorn. This candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court has a long record of not only anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, but a professional history of actively working against the LGBTQ community in Wisconsin. This isn't just about some blog post from a person's youth. Anti-LGBTQ sentiments have been a guiding force in all aspects of Brian Hagedorn's personal and professional record. From serving as a Blackstone Fellow for Alliance Defending Freedom, a global hate group founded on an anti-LGBTQ agenda, to advising Governor Scott Walker to stop defending Wisconsin's domestic partnership registry in the courts. From writing hateful and misinformed things on a blog, to founding a school that openly opposes the basic civil rights of the LGBTQ community. Brian Hagedorn has repeatedly used his position to actively try to discriminate against the LGBTQ community and undermine basic rights like allowing a partner visitation rights to a hospitalized loved one. There is no reason to trust that he won't do it again given the opportunity on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Fair Wisconsin urges the public to learn more about Judge Hagedorn's long record of hostility toward the LGBTQ community before the successor to Justice Abrahamson is chosen. Thank you. Turn it over to Wendy.
Hi, my name is Wendy Strout, and I'm the Wisconsin State Director for the Human Rights Campaign. As stated on their website, one of the primary functions of the Wisconsin Supreme Court is to ensure independent, open, fair, and efficient resolution of disputes in accordance with the federal and state constitutions and laws. This means that the justices who are deciding cases should also be independent, open, and fair. As the nation's largest LGBTQ civil rights organization with thousands of members and supporters in Wisconsin, the Human Rights Campaign is deeply concerned with one of the current candidates for the open Supreme Court seat, Brian Hagedorn. We previously learned that Hagedorn's long history of publishing blogs and statements that are violently anti-LGBTQ and far out of the mainstream, blogs where he equated homosexuality with bestiality and incest, claimed that being LGBTQ is a choice, and he referred to marriage equality as a crime which represents the destruction of the world. It's clear with these egregious and extreme statements, Brian Hagedorn fails the standard by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But the newest revelations of his anti-LGBTQ animus further demonstrates his inability to be a fair and impartial judge. Brian Hagedorn is a founder and current board member of the Augustine Academy. This is a religious-based school whose statement of faith openly opposes marriage equality, stating that marriage is between one man and one woman and bans LGBTQ employees and students. Given his deeply disturbing anti-LGBTQ statements and his current affiliation with a school that is so hostile to the LGBTQ community, the Human Rights Campaign is extremely concerned about Brian Hagedorn's ability to be independent, open, and fair, and rule on cases affecting LGBTQ people. Judges are tasked with the sacred duty to uphold equal treatment for all people under the law. As someone who has publicly and unabashedly voiced contempt for the LGBTQ equality, his record is disqualifying and proves he has no place on the bench or in public office. If elected, it is clear that Brian Hagedorn would further erode protections for some of our most vulnerable communities. Wisconsinites could not count on him to uphold their civil rights, and we must continue to raise awareness about the extremists running for our state's most powerful court.
Thank you. In conclusion, Brian Hagedorn simply cannot be trusted. It's the fundamental job of a judge to treat people equally before the law and under the law, and Brian Hagedorn has shown that he simply cannot be trusted to do that. I want to thank Joanna, our research director, Megan and Wendy, for their commitment to civil rights in the LGBTQ community and for being with us here today. And at this point, we will be happy to take questions.
Do you have any information of actual discrimination by the Augustine Academy of people that were fired or students that were not allowed to attend?
Well, I'll say this. In order to apply to be a teacher with the Augustine Academy, you actually have to say that you fully concur with the statement of faith and comply with the Code of Personal Conduct. We're certainly not privy to specific incidents or lack of incidents at the Augustine Academy. But fundamentally, the participation in creating that and continuing to be involved in the Augustine Academy, again, calls into question Brian Hagedorn's claims that he will set aside these extreme yet deeply held personal beliefs as a judge. He helped do all of these things while a Court of Appeals judge, which is problematic in and of itself.
So I wanted to ask about, you're putting this in the context of him running for the Supreme Court, but he is currently on the State Appeals Court. Are any of you arguing that this disqualifies him from the current position that he's holding?
What I would say is right now the focus is on his candidacy for the state Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court elections are coming up very soon, and a successor to Shirley Abrahamson will be chosen, and that person will serve for 10 years. That is hugely problematic, and we want to alert the public to Judge Hagedorn's position and actions in advance of that, given the 10-year term for the Supreme Court.
So are you simply
giving your description of why you don't want him, or do you also advocate someone else at the same time?
We are just, illuminating for the public his actions in the context of his claims being, his claim that he would treat people fairly. His actions show that he can't be trusted to do that. That's what we're here to say.
You're not advocating for another candidate?
No.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.
Could we have each of you?